Hello everybody and welcome back to the final episode of Saving Sunderland. In today's episode we have resigned, we are no longer the manager of Sunderland, but we are going to fast forward 5 years into the future and see how they perform without us at the helm. Now just before we get into it, if they fail, that's because I'm not their steward anymore, and clearly I was the guiding light that kept them at the top. But if they succeed, it's because I set the foundation so well that I've left. Yeah, I'm basically making excuses for whichever one happens. But yeah, we'll quickly jump into the game. So as you can see, I have resigned. There is no manager currently at Sunderland. Luis Enrique Arans was my captain, as Jose Luis was our vice. Oscar Pfeiffer, key player, and Gonzalo Acosta is the hot prospect. So it'll be interesting to see who they appoint as the new manager and how they get on in the first season. So let's get 1 year into the future and see how they've progressed. Right, so we have returned. It is the 4th of June in 2028. Let's take a look and see how Sunderland have performed 1 year on without us as manager. So here it is. Zinedine Zidane is the manager of Sunderland and they have finished in second place in the Premier League. Obviously we won the league about 3 seasons on the bounce, so they'll be disappointed not to win the league this season, but we'll see how they've got in the Champions League as well. But first, I'm going to look at the transfers because I'm really interested because Oscar Pfeiffer was not listed as the key player, and that's because they sold him to Paris Saint-Germain for 88 million. Now, I posted on Twitter one of the offers that I turned down for PSG a little while ago, and I'm sure it was over 200 million that I've rejected. So once we've left, they've accepted 88 million for the best centre-back in the world. I mean, look at him, he's absolutely fantastic. His physicals have actually declined since he went to PSG, so that's interesting. But that might have been the reason why they came second, it might not have been. But it doesn't look like they've sold anyone else too interesting. They have let some of the lads go on frees and things like that, but that's not too important. They did make a couple of big signings though, especially from Paris Saint-Germain. Joel Alonso, he is the Spanish central midfielder from PSG and he's an absolutely worldy, absolutely fantastic player. Did they sign him in the January transfer window? He only played 19 games. They did sign him in the January, so I wonder if maybe they were struggling in the January time, maybe. But 140 million on Joel Alonso smashes our highest fee paid by a considerable margin. They also signed Rasmus Dørgaard, who is a Danish right midfielder from Paris Saint-Germain. Now, the last time I actually paid any attention to this lad, he was still at Chelsea. Yeah, so the previous season he went to PSG for 43 million, then he's came to Sunderland for 70, which could rise to 100. Obviously a brilliant right midfielder, which suggests to me they've ditched my formation of 3 strikers up top. It went back to the wingers. They signed Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid, another winger, so definitely bringing in the wingers. He didn't play too many games for the club, did he? No, he came in the summer, so sort of a rotation option. I think these 3 lads were people who I'd signed and arranged transfers for. Pescarola, he's competent on both wings and up front. Lille, a very, very exciting left winger from Brazil, particularly with his dribbling stat, and Amancio, who was just a high potential centre half. But anyway, let's take a look at the Premier League. Who won the league? It was of course Manchester City, as you would expect. Luis Enrique Arans on the top goal scorer list, coming in third with 16 goals, and he did perform the best in terms of average rating. I wonder if they've been playing him out in the wing. So we'll take a look at the schedule. Let's see how they got on in the Champions League. Did they get the final? They won. They won the Champions League, so 2 seasons on the bounce that Sunderland have won the Champions League now. Beaten Bayern Munich in the final, Real Madrid in the semis, Liverpool in the quarters, and Atletico Madrid in the first knockout round. They got to the League Cup final, beat Manchester United 2-0, and they got beat off Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final. So in terms of players, let's have a look, see what sort of system they're playing. So it does look like they're playing a 4-5-1 with the attacking central midfielder, attacking midfielder left, and attacking midfielder right. Looks like they've been using Tobias Finest out on the right hand side, which is interesting. Phil Foden still in the starting lineup, which I enjoy. Esparza, Guendouzi. To be fair, it looks like pretty much the first 11 what they've got selected right now was pretty much a first 11 that we've left them. Roman Velasquez is unhappy. All of the players now are worth absolutely silly amounts of money after this second Champions League win. So top goal scorer was Luis Enrique Arans, coming in on the left hand side, I'm assuming, and getting 34 goals. Dørgaard got 16 from the wing. Lincoln looks like he might have been a second choice striker maybe, but he is unhappy and he is going to leave the club. He's requested a transfer. Sugo again probably swapping around with Lincoln. Willie Cole, the Scottish wonder kid who was signed, actually got some game time, which I'm pleased about. Slough didn't get as much game time as he should. I believe he could have become the first choice striker for me if I'd stayed at Sunderland. But yeah, some interesting stats there. Second in the Premier League, won the Champions League. Let's get into the second year. So we're here, it's the 11th of June 2029, and Sunderland have won the league this season. Zinedine Zidane is still the manager, and this time they have managed to win the Premier League. So we'll quickly jump through the transfers, see if anyone big got sold. Lincoln went to Arsenal for 35 million, rising to 50. That's disappointing. Lincoln, of course, was one of our stalwarts of our side. I think it was the third season of the Premier League, and he was prolific for us. But he's went to Arsenal and he's doing a good job there. Ruben Diaz eventually got his move. He'd been a backup centre-back for me when I was playing the 3 centre-back formation. Gautier Valette was one of our backup strikers who didn't really see much game time. Keita, another one who didn't see game time. But Tierney for only 3.3 million. I understand he's quite old now, but I would have expected a bit more in terms of fee for that. And they only brought in one signing. Ruslan Poganin from Spartak Moscow, 33 million. He does look like an excellent centre-back. But now that they're only playing 2 centre-backs, I don't understand. I guess I don't understand where all these centre-backs are playing. We'll quickly check to see if they've won the Champions League for the 3rd season in a row. Not this season. They got beat by Man City, typically in the Champions League semis. In terms of the senior squad, goals-wise, Luis Enrique ran, Sugo. Acosta actually got himself some goals, which is interesting. Slough, again, they're sort of misusing him for me. Joel Alonso was fantastic this season as Phil Foden. Phil Foden's not getting the game time now. Alonso's here. Oh, Phil. Oh, he's requested he wants to leave. I'm gutted for Phil. He's still in his prime. He's only 29. I'm gutted about Foden, but Dorgard's still here, still performing. To be fair, they haven't really changed the squad all that much in the 2 years. Looks like Patrick Haller is getting a lot more game time now. I wonder if next season maybe he will be the first choice keeper over Jordan Pickford, who is now 35, and he has declined quite rapidly in terms of his physicals and things like that. But Haller, Rickson, Luis, Rios, Milagres, Sterlings, Esparza, Dorgard, Alonso, Luis Enrique Rant and Sugo. So as you can see, really, it's only these 2 boys who weren't here when we were here. The rest of the first 11's pretty much our first 11. So, first in the Premier League this season, Zinedine Zidane still manager. Champions League semis, unfortunately. Not a lot of transfers. Let's jump into the 3rd year. So Sunderland, 3rd season, 2030, will return on the 2nd of June. They did win the Premier League. Zinedine Zidane is still the manager. And in terms of key employees, it looks pretty similar to last season. Let's check the transfers. Oh, they sold Sterlings, the Belgian central midfielder, to Manchester City. It was for a big fee. 66 million rising to 75, but that's... He would have been a key player under me, as would Roman Velasquez. 60 million rising to 85 to Bayern Munich, a fantastic world-class central midfielder who's described as that. He hasn't actually developed as I would have thought he would have, but he's still a fantastic player. Guendouzi's found himself going to Manchester United. Probably the greatest free transfer we made on this save, definitely. He signed for us in our 2nd season in the Premier League on a free transfer, and he was just fantastic for us. Really, really played well. Now he's gone to Manchester United in the twilight of his career for 31 million, rising to 39.5. Michael Althans has gone for 32.5 million. Wozniak, who was one of our centre mids who were just signed because he was that cheap, really, we signed him for £70,000. He never found himself as a starter for us whatsoever. Nathan Hulgen he was a Dutch right winger, I believe, from Valencia. He's went to Valencia, for 1.6 million. Max a big loss for us, that, but never mind. Oh, some of the lads here. Meditazi and Coutinho went on frees. Now, I know for a fact that I put in optional 3-year contract extensions on these boys. So the club could have triggered them and saved themselves from losing them on frees. But I don't know whether the AI is sophisticated enough to actually realise that they're going to lose these boys on frees and not being able to get them down on new contracts and then trigger them clauses. They mustn't have. And as you can see, they made not one signing. So we'll take a quick look at the first team squad. It looks like Patrick Haller did dispossess Jordan Pickford from the starting keeper role, as he's not like a world class keeper. He is fantastic, don't get us wrong. We signed him for 1.8 million, which was really, really good. But he's not the sort of world class keeper that you would expect, I don't think. Before we go on with the squad, we'll quickly check to see what they did in the Champions League. Oh, they got beaten in the final off Manchester City. Of course they did. Beat Man United in the semis. Bayern Munich in the quarters, Inter Milan in the first knockout round. Did they win the? They didn't win the FA Cup, but got beat off West Brom in the semi-finals. Actually got knocked out of the League Cup really early on as well. But they did win the Premier League, so I'm guessing the board will be quite happy with that. So let's go and buy appearances. It looks like Luis Enrique Arans is still the main man. Probably playing on the left. Joel Alonso, of course, £140 million season. He is fantastic. Matteo Rios is still there. Milagres, Jose Luis, Ricardo Esparza, Rickson, Patrick Haller. Sugo's still getting plenty of game time. Zacharias Ramirez, who's one of the players who you won't have seen much, but I did sign him for 1.8 million way back when. Looks like he's made the move up to the first team squad. Dorgard, of course. Phil Foden's still there. He mustn't have got his transfer. Interesting. I hope he can break back into the first team. I loved Phil Foden. Gustavo's one of ours that was signed. Right wing back. Looks like he's made it now into the first team, and he might try and dispossess Rickson for that first team role. Although I highly doubt it's going to happen. Rickson is a fantastic right wing back. Willie Call's still in the first team. You know, just a lot of the same lads. Slough, he's been wasted. He's been absolutely wasted. I can guarantee if I'd continue as manager, he would have been unbelievable. Top scorers again: Luis Enrique Arans, Sugo, Joel Alonso, Slough, Esparza, Tobias Vanest still in the first team squad. Dorgard. You know, with them only playing one striker, they've trained Vanest. Now he is a natural at the right wing spot. Still not a right winger for me, really, but they must be getting something out of him. Right, that's enough of that. We'll jump into the fourth season. Right, we're into the fourth season. It's the 1st of June in 2031. Luis Enrique Arans still captain, Jose Luis still vice. Key players Arans and Dan Mason. Let's have a look at him. He's the hot prospect. He doesn't look that great. But they did win the Premier League, first in the Premiership division. Finished 3 points clear of Manchester United, who finished in second. Looks like Man City had a poor season by their standards. Luis Enrique Arans coming second in the top goal scorer award. Joel Alonso coming second in the assists award. And yeah, let's take a look at some of their transfers. Oh my days, they've sold Ricardo Esparza to Paris Saint-Germain for 118 million. We signed him for, I believe it was 40 million a good few seasons back now in the 2024-25 season. And he was a mainstay in my team. I believe this season he had a pretty poor injury. But apart from that, he was absolutely fantastic. But it looks like Paris Saint-Germain have come in and nabbed him from Sunderland. Sugihira, our Japanese wonder kid, finally found his way to Stuttgart, where he might find a home. Didn't really play much he didn't play for me at all, actually. 1.2 million signing. They got 13.5 million for him, so I can't complain. I don't really recognise these other names, so we'll skip past them altogether. Doesn't look like they lost anyone on a free, so maybe contract situations have sorted themselves out a little bit. But they did make a massive signing. I'm guessing he's a central midfielder. 68 million initially from Bayern Munich, rising to 96 million potentially. Marco Mayella. Now he is a very, very, very talented central midfielder. Is he as good as Esparza though? So Esparza is in the blue, Mayella is in the green. So in terms of an attacking sense, Esparza is a little bit better aerial. Same mentally, physically, Mayella does have the edge. So, you know, they're very, very, very similar players. I guess it doesn't really matter which one of them's in. They're pretty much on a similar sort of level. But yeah, this guy must have came in the January transfer window. He's a world-class midfielder, according to the media. He's younger than Esparza and he's Italian, so that always means good things generally. But in terms of the system they're playing, it doesn't look like it's changed all that much. Let's have a quick check, see if they won the Champions League this season. And they did. They finally beat Manchester City in the final of the Champions League, which is fantastic. Beating Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semis. Beat Liverpool in the quarters and they beat Lyon in the first knockout round. Luis Enrique Arans and Joel Alonso give them a 2-0 lead within 10 minutes, which secured the Champions League victory. I'm really pleased. They've missed out in the past couple of seasons because of Man City, so they won the league and they won the Champions League. It's the first time they've done it since we've left, so I'm really pleased. Patrick Haller looks like he's still the first choice keeper. Where is Jordan Pickford? Did he retire? Oh, I didn't even see this. Jordan Pickford went to Monaco on a free transfer, so he's no longer at Sunderland. They now have a guy called Martel Tamasco. He is English. He is okay. He's decent for a 19-year-old, so maybe he did get plenty of game time, actually, so hopefully he'll improve. We'll probably not see him get into the first team spot because we're only one more season to go, I think. So Rickson, Matteo Rios, Jose Luis Milagres, just like the four absolute stalwarts of the defence. Matteo Rios there. Fantastic. He has become... He was when he was at us, one of the best centre-backs in the world. Jose Luis as well, another one. Him, Pfeiffer and Matteo Rios were just unbelievable for us. Milagres, of course, probably the best left-back on the game. Zacarias Ramirez back on the side. Phil Foden's still there, which I like. Pescarola, the guy who was signed, the guy who would sorted out a transfer with before we left. Looks like he's made it into the first team squad. He's getting a few games under his belt. Diego Gutierrez. Have I skipped the transfers? Who's Diego Gutierrez? Did I sign Diego Gutierrez? I have no idea. I think I did actually. Mexican left winger. I signed him 26-27 season. I couldn't even remember. I completely missed him from the squad as well. But yeah, he's been in the squad for a few seasons now. An absolutely fantastic left winger. Looks like they're trying to play Luis Enrique Iran's up top a little bit more. So in terms of goals, Iran's top again with Sugo second again. Joel Alonso. Slough still there, just potting along. So is Pescarola. Dorgard, Tobias Vanest still in the squad. Willie Call still is. He's not really getting game time, Willie. He's worth 73 million. That's crazy. Guillermo Campos, did I sign him? I did sign him. I don't know who he is. He looks okay, I guess. Excellent physicals. And excellently well-rounded for an advanced playmaker here. But yeah, so they won the Premier League, won the Champions League. One more season to go. Will Zinedine Zidane still be there in the final season? So a final season with Sunderland, 5 years on from when we resigned. They did win the Premier League again, so that's 4 out of 5 seasons win the Premier League since I've left, which is obviously really, really good. Zinedine Zidane has been the manager throughout that whole time. Let's have a quick check of the transfers. So Tobias Vanest did finally get his move to Paris Saint-Germain, 26 million. Initial fee could rise to 38. An absolutely fantastic striker. How good he is on the wing, I don't know. Maybe he was good, I would have played him up front. Gudinho, who was in the squad in our final seasons, finally got his move away to Benfica. So this was the final season we were here. He's been out on loan ever since. And then he's finally left for 10.25 million, which I guess is it's a good fee for Benfica. Don't recognise a lot of these lads. Just all loans out apart from that. So we'll have a look. Let's see who they brought in. Jatoba from Real San Sebastian. A goalkeeper, right? Interesting. I wonder if they've maybe dropped Patrick Alla for this guy, although it doesn't look like it. They also signed Enrico Chioda from Juventus. A decent left back. Not better than Milagres, so he must have just been a backup. And as you can see by his appearances, he didn't make too many. John Zapata, I noticed this guy is listed as the hot prospect, 17 million. Very, very, very nice Colombian central midfielder. Again, a lot of playmakers in this squad. There's not a lot of, apart from Marco Mayella, there's not a lot of tenacity in the central midfield. Anyway, let's have a quick check, see if they won the Champions League in the final season. So they got through the group stage. They got through the first knockout round. They got through the quarters. Oh, they got knocked out by who else but Manchester City in the semi-final. They did win their FA Cup though, so I guess that's a little bit of a consolation. Man City are honestly just the bane of my existence, and they've been the bane of Zinedine Zidane's existence. I think at least 3 of the seasons in the Champions League since he's become manager, they've been knocked out in the later stages by Man City. So let's take a look at the squad in terms of appearances. Luis Enrique Iran's, he's just a fantastic... Let's have one last look at Luis Enrique Iran's before he retires to my hard drive. Absolutely fantastic striker, and if you don't remember, we signed him in our second season, the first season in the Premier League, for 325 grand. And you know, getting that sort of signing, particularly for a Spanish player that early on, was absolutely fantastic. And he's been an absolute legend ever since. He really is the legend of the save, particularly going 5 years on. He's still there, he's still performing. He's only 30 years old, plenty of caps for Spain, and he's just been fantastic. Matteo Rios, another one. I believe we signed him in our second season as well. Was that right? Third season in 1.7 million. Another one, just an absolute stalwart of the side. Joel Alonso was one of the signings Zidane made. Milagres, of course, fantastic player, signing for 14.5 million about 4 seasons in. And he's well and truly made that left back position his own. Looks like Patrick Haller is still the first choice keeper, although listed back up on his contract. So I'm guessing this Brazilian that they signed, Jatoba, might take the spot if we were to continue for another season. Marco Mayella, of course, they signed Rickson, brilliant. Jose Luis, brilliant. Zacarias Ramirez, I never played him, but he's doing well now. Pescarola actually got a lot of game time, playing him out on the right hand side Slough, again, he's languishing in the squad. He's made 30 odd appearances this season. He needs to go. He needs to go somewhere else and ply his trade. We're signing him for a big fee. Where's Phil? Phil, he's not playing anymore. Oh, he's got an agreed deal. Who's he going to? He's joining Inter Milan at the end of the season. He has declined a little as a footballer. Of course he will at the age. But he's joining Inter Milan at the end of his contract. But he was fantastic for me. I absolutely loved Phil Foden. And before we end this episode, we're going to take a look at one last person to see if they've done anything. Oh, he retired. He retired as a player and he didn't become a coach or a manager or assistant manager or anything. But Big Duncan Watmore, legend. Well, that wraps up the video, this series, and the end of me managing Sunderland. In terms of things going forward before FM19 releases, I'm still not really sure as to what I'm going to produce. But there will be constant daily videos right up until FM19 releases, when I'm going to be going absolutely ham once it comes out. If you've enjoyed today's video and this series, please consider leaving a like, and if you're enjoying my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.